Hello everyone, welcome back to Teas New Jersey. My name is Alex, and today I'm going to be doing something a little different. So when we source teas at Teas New Jersey, we get a lot of different samples from many different brokers and companies in China, Japan, Taiwan, and we get samples, we try them, and we select the ones that we think uphold our standards of taste, of the amount of information that we get on the tea and that we can share with you. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different kind of video. I'm going to be tasting a Yunnan ripe Pu'erh. This tea is from the company Yunnan, and this tea is from Yunnan province in China. This specific tea is 100 grams. It's a 100-gram cake. Yeah, so they sent this tea to us. I'm going to be doing kind of like an experimental tasting. I'm going to be brewing in the Yixing clay pot because ripe Pu'erhs and Pu'erhs in general brew really well in the Yixing clay, and I'm going to be doing a tasting in the glass gaiwan so that it's a more neutral kind of tasting experience. The minerality in the Yixing clay kind of mellows the top flavors of the tea, and you get a lot of those nice depths. So we're going to be tasting the difference between the Yixing clay and just the pure tea. I'll show you the facts on the box here. Alright, so Pu'erh. You brew Pu'erh really hot, so boiling water. I'm going to heat up this Yixing clay pot here. Now this is going to increase the temperature of the clay, and Yixing clay holds its temperature very well. So I'm just going to let that sit because it does take a bit to heat up. So we're going to open this cake. I'll show you. There's already a nice smell coming off these leaves. I have a little pick here. Usually you just break the cake up a little bit. This one is a little tough. It's packed pretty tight. The leaves are pretty small, so this is made with, it looks like small leaves and buds. Alright, so we have some good chunks here. I can show you more of what it looks like now. Alright, so I brought the leaf measurement up to 6 grams just because I want it to be very strong, or a little bit strong. So this teapot's nice and hot. I'm gonna give these teas a rinse to open the leaves up. Now this is typical to do for Pu'erhs, especially cooked Pu'erhs. And that cake was pretty packed tightly, and it was pretty dry. So just a little bit of information. Sometimes cakes are looser, sometimes they're not as dry as that. They're a little bit more, the leaves have a little bit more moisture in them, and they do dry out over time. But also, if there's a little bit of moisture, it really helps the enzymes mature over time. So let's give these a brew. We're going to be doing 10 seconds for these, so I'm going to do one at a time. Alright. The smell coming off the leaves is very leathery. So we'll do 10 seconds. Right, and if you were watching, you'll notice that I did pour some water over the Yixing clay pot, and what that does is kind of preserve the temperature of the teapot and of the tea, so the tea's steeping at that high temperature for a lot longer if the heat is retained. So that kind of helps with the heat retention. Can't do it with the gaiwan. The gaiwan reduces temperature more quickly than the Yixing clay too, but it's important to try these differences just to see how it affects the tea, and just experiment with the tea that way. Alright, so you can already see the difference in color between the two teas, and that's just from the gaiwan and the Yixing clay pot. Obviously a lot more darker, a lot lighter. They are in different size containers too, but this looks a little bit more thick. Or actually, they both look pretty thick. Let's give them a taste. The Pu'erh that was brewed in the Yixing clay pot, it does have a lot of that more ripe Pu'erh fizziness on the tongue. Both of them are very light in flavor. They are into the first infusion, so we'll see how the flavor matures. So I'm increasing the steep time by 5 seconds just for the second infusion. Usually as I go through infusions, I'll add a few seconds to the steep time. Alright, so those were about equal. The aroma coming off the tea is very light. A lot of ripe pu'erhs are very, very strong, fishy, smelling almost, or like very strong, like musty kind of cellar, or like the woods, like on a wet day, but like on a hot wet day. And this is very mellow, like kind of like more cavey, not too strong. And the liqueur is nice and dark. It almost looks reddish on in the cup, but it is super, super brown in the little picture here. So one thing that I'm noticing in the second infusion is the tea brewed in the Yixing clay pot is a lot more rich, tasting and feeling in the mouth. It almost has kind of like a brownie richness to it, chocolate brownie richness. Whereas the one brewed in the gaiwan is a lot brighter. It doesn't have that richness that this tea has. But it has like higher notes, brighter notes. And the liqueur is also not as thick. The richness of the Yixing clay brewed tea, it makes your tongue feel so sweet and almost does salivate. So this is very like downing, very calming. I feel like this one's very, just the bright notes, the lightness of it, it kind of is like a pick-me-up. So if we think about the differences of the Yixing clay and the glass gaiwan, the glass gaiwan reduces in temperature greatly as it steeps, as the tea steeps. So it's not steeping at 210 degree water for the whole 10-15 seconds. It's starting at like 210 and then dropping down to like the 90s, 190. I don't know if it'll get as low as 180, but as you pour the water from the pitcher, it's cooling down, it's cooling as it's steeping, and that affects the extraction from the leaves. So the hotter temperatures extract a lot of the darker notes. So you are in the Yixing clay holds its temperature longer, and the minerality of the tea. Paired with minerality of the tea is steeping at the highest temperature for a longer period of time. It's getting out all those really deep notes. The minerality in the Yixing clay is like smoothing out the flavor, thickening up the liqueur, and it's definitely noticeable with this tea. I say that the Yixing clay enhances the flavor in a very nice way by making the tea more rich, more smooth, and even a little bit more sweet. But in a rich kind of sweet way. Whereas the glass, there's no like minerality transaction between the glass and the tea. That only like happens in like the porous clay. But what you do you're getting the straight flavor of the tea, and you're getting the steep at the high temperature, and you're getting some of the steep at the low temperature. So you're getting a lot more of the brighter notes that come out with as the temperature reduces. So what can we take away from this tasting experience? We can take away that if you are drinking a right Pu-erh and you're using glass and you're used to those high notes, you might want to try making the tea with the Yixing clay pot to see how it affects the flavors, to see if you get a little bit more richness, a little bit more thickness. It's definitely worth a try. We do have like Yixing clay pots on our website, and it works for all teas. Raw Pu'erh oolong tea is often brewed in Yixing clay pots, like a roasted oolong. What the minerality in Yixing clay does is smooth out the roast, and it gets you those deep notes that like roasted oolongs have. And then if you are brewing in a Yixing clay pot and the flavor of the tea is a little bit too deep for you, you might want to try brewing it in like a glass gaiwan or a glass teapot or something like that, so that you can get a different tasting experience. And maybe if you don't like a tea at first because it's either too bright or too deep, you can use these different tools to kind of bring out the flavor in the tea that you want. So it's really interesting that you can take tea and kind of make your own flavor out of it just with these brew techniques. So definitely check out some of the right Pu-erhs out there. This one from the Yunnan Tea Company is pretty delicious. We're going to be in contact with them to see if we're going to bring this tea over. But this was a great first experience. We have a lot more tasting to do. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. My name is Alex, and I'll see you next time.